Hello, are we live? I think we are broadcasting live. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are. Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of Sentimental Sensation. I'm your host as always, George, and this is the podcast where we talk about music and the impact and significance it has on our lives. Today I've got two special guests who have both previously been on this podcast before. Jayden and Corey, welcome guys.
Hello. We just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, you go, Corey.
Oh, I think you said we can't get enough of it, Jayden.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to know. Well, I always
Couldn't have said it
appreciate
better.
having you guys on. And I got my Sentimental Sensation shirt on today, so. Woo.
Yeah. No, I need when I have money to do that, man, I'm going to have to get myself a shirt as well to support your stuff as well. Gonna have to do
Thanks,
that.
Dave. I appreciate that.
Maybe on your
Cool.
100th episode, we can have everyone wearing like Sentimental Sensation t-shirts.
Yes.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. Have like a party and everyone's just wearing all my merch. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Mm.
I don't know if we'll get to 100, but we'll see how we go.
Oh, you don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm already having an idea of planning a 100th episode special for the Creators Process, and I'm only, I think, 14 episodes away from that.
Oh, lucky you. That'll be
Yes.
fun.
So, I mean, why not?
Yeah, for sure. So today we're going to be talking a bit about hip hop. I presume specifically Australian, or is it a bit of both?
I don't know much about American hip hop, but Corey, if you know much about it, man, we can do that. But I mainly listen to Australian these days, Australian hip hop. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the topic, I think from what George was originally saying anyway, was Australian hip hop. But I guess if we want to branch out to that, if we have any
Yeah, for sure.
side
Well,
topics.
but
we
yeah,
can do
I
that.
reckon. Yeah, sounds good. But yeah, I reckon we kind of Well, yes, Australian hip hop's a good place to start anyway. So might as well start off with that. I guess. Well, considering Jada, you're wearing your Hilltop Hoods top, we might as well talk a bit about Hilltop Hoods for a bit. Eh?
Yeah. Well, it's actually a really interesting thing. Well, a funny story for me. They were definitely the first group I started listening to, and it's actually the first Drinking from the Sun, which is actually the shirt that I'm wearing, is actually the first full-length album I've ever listened to. Because usually when I was younger, I would buy an album and I would only listen to specific songs that I liked from that album. But when I I decided to sit down one day because I had the Drinking from the Sun album. And I decided to actually sit down because the only two songs that I listened to was I Love It and Speaking in Tongues. That was the only two that I actually listened to. And then I decided to sit down and listen to it. And then after I listened to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is actually a phenomenal album. And it was like, and I think I remember I approached you later on that week, Corey, because I asked you about more Hilltop Hoods albums. Didn't I do that? Like I actually approached you and say what other ones, because they've been around since what year did they start, Corey? 1996, 95?
Well, I think they formed about in the mid-90s, and the first three albums they released were independent albums, so like none of their songs were released or anything like that. And I guess their first real album was about 2004, so yeah,
they were definitely they were kind of definitely one of the main artists for leading up, like, because they say, like, because I think some of the first artists that when you talk about Australian hip hop, one of the first artists was I know Brethren, like that they were one of the first hip hop crews that have been around for, like, I think they started in the 80s or something like that. And then there was also, as you know, Corey, Death Wish Cast, which is actually quite interesting because they released a song with Death Wish Cast on Brethren called Hip Hop, and it was pretty much a collaboration with both of them, and then talking about the history of hip hop in that song. And it's really funny that the two oldest hip hop groups were the ones that sang that song, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then I guess when it comes to the leading artists who led kind of, I guess because, like Australian hip hop is definitely, and you could say this, Corey, they're on a different level to American hip hop. Like, they have a different sound, they have different like music style and all that sort of thing. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, and this is nothing against American hip hop. Like, I do listen to a lot of good American hip hop artists, but with Australian hip hop, they definitely do have their style, their unique style that they work with. And but I don't know. What do you think, Corey? Like, what is your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think, back in the day, like in the 80s originally, I think they sampled a lot of the old disco hits. Back in the day, Gang's Rapper's Delight, like they got that from Chic, and you also had Rap Shot, which was Blondie with, and that was kind of a just disco-y song, but also hip-hop, and I guess they kind of, this is what I'm guessing, is that they liked the bass part of that. Like, I think a lot of people like the bass and the beat. Kind of got that and made that a big part of like the late 80s and early 90s hip hop. And they added some stuff in there which were really cool. Like, you'd hear some things from people like Tupac or Eric B. and Rakim. People like that, like, they actually have some really good backgrounds. But I think when you have when you listen to Australian hip hop, like particularly from about maybe 10 years ago or something, there's a lot of orchestral music that could be in the background, like as a sample, or like rock music or soul. It's just very mixed. Like, it's not. I think a lot of American hip hop, particularly in the last 20 years, has just been like an electronic drum beat, some bass, and a couple of other things added to it. And I guess another big difference is also lyrics. Whereas, American hip hop, like obviously maybe in the 90s, like with, I guess, more the gangster rap, and like they're talking about like the life and like dealing with all the harsh that. But particularly now, it's all about like partying and all the ladies
getting drunk and wasted.
And not, again, that's people's likings. Some people like that. But some songs I even like. But I think Australian hip hop, it's definitely way more political, and I guess talking about just everyday things,
run-of-the-mill stuff,
just hard life, but just everyday. Just I guess the only thing I can say is life things. down to earth lyrics, just
for sure.
Like real personal lyrics. Really, that might be the better way to put it. Like personal lyrics. See a lot more of that.
It was kind of a bit of a personalized touch, I guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think as well with a lot of American rappers is that obviously the genre kind of associates more with African Americans, I think, which kind of distinguishes a bit. Obviously, you do have like white Caucasian rappers, but I think when you think of America specifically, you think of, like, is it Straight Outta Compton, is it? The band
like
he was in?
NWA.
Then you got like, I forget that band that did Fight the Power, I think it was.
Public Enemy.
Stuff like that. So
Run
I think
DMC,
apart from that. Run DMC, all that kind of stuff. So apart from obviously like Eminem is probably one of the most well-known white Caucasian rappers, but I feel the majority of American hip-hop is very kind of African American based, and a lot of it's about kind of the trials and tribulations that a lot of those people went through living in America, kind of thing.
It's really interesting because, like on the topic of Eminem, because obviously he was found by Dr. Dre, like who's really amazing hip hop artist. Apparently he really because Eminem came into the picture around a time where there was I think there was like the gang wars between hip hop crews, and so like so
and he was in the middle like Detroit.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like I remember because I think it was in I Need a Doctor, like, and Eminem does a lot of lyrics where very like, and I think that's what is really good about Eminem. He really puts a lot of passion, and he makes his raps a lot of really personal. And he says in one of the lines where he's saying, it was you that believed in me when everyone told me not to sign me. And so it seems like Dr. Dre actually took a huge like risk, risk and gamble to actually put on Eminem. And you look at him now, and I guess you'd say that risk did pay off.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Well, he's the perfect example of a rags to riches, really, particularly in the hip hop industry. You know, obviously it's the other way around with him. You know, it was a very black industry, the hip hop industry.
Yeah.
They kind of didn't like the thought of the white guy coming in.
And kind of ruining the show, I guess. Or
they just didn't think that he was going to be any good.
Yeah.
Really only an African American.
It's only like a black club kind of thing, you know. You can't have it's like our music, you know. Don't bring in your primitive Americans and kind of disgrace it kind of thing.
and he came from just doing rap battles, like, because 8 Mile is based off his own story.
Yeah,
he came from doing that and making his own way the hard way. And Dr. Dre saw him, and as you said, Jayden, he took a risk signing him in, and he's literally now arguably the greatest rap artist of all time.
For sure, yeah. I mean, compared to someone like Ice Cube, sorry, not Ice Cube, Vanilla Ice. He's definitely done well.
Gosh, but I guess on that topic of Australian hip hop, we've had some really great. Like, even like I said, Australian hip hop, Hilltop Hoods is just like the tip of the iceberg. You've had people like, Bliss and SO, you've had 360, like Pez is another one, Fundamentals. So you've had so many great hip hop artists that have actually definitely made a really big impact in this community. And, like I even like people like The Herd. Illy was okay. Hopefully, if Illy watches this, I'm really sorry, Illy, but like you've gone way too commercial. Like his older albums were really good. Like you go back to Long Story Short, and then you go to his recent one, which is just a bunch of pop tunes, and it's like he's not even rapping anymore, and so that's a bit of a unfortunate. And then like I do love Horror Show, and that was really they're a really great crew. Like I think, Corey and I definitely had a really great memory of seeing them for their album launch, which was pretty special. And, and that was actually, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I have a bit of a soft spot for the song Tightrope, but that's pretty much the only Illy track I know.
I definitely think that was like in the album Cinematic. I feel like that was when he was kind of like developing into a different style, but his music was still good. I actually do like the album Cinematic. I personally think to this day it's my favorite album actually because it's very versatile and some of the guests he actually featured in that album, like you had Draft, you had Hilltop Woods, you've had I think Daniel Merriweather was one, wasn't he? And like so many other. Like he had such a big versatile of guests on that album. So I definitely think that was a really good album. I think after that you could kind of see like with Paper Cuts and then, Catch 22, they were like, I have to admit they were bearable. But then every time, you remember Corey, every time we were at the gym, they would play Then What? And then every time you would just be like, oh shit. And like, here's this bloody song again. And you'd be like, Then What? You would
like obviously people like the song, because I'll say first with Illy, I guess it's kind of the same thing like with other artists, they don't want to just do the same thing, and if it's their thing that they want to explore and they like, all the power to them, and if they're still getting people enjoying their stuff or new people, that's fine. But Then What I thought was just one of the corniest songs he's ever done because that's literally half the song. It's like, and then what? And then me and Jayden at the gym just kind of just doing that to each other. It's like, and then
and he's doing this dance to it, and it's like it is really interesting. And I was like, I think Corey and I were having this conversation a while. I think it was yesterday where we pretty much, when we were in high school together, like 16, 17 years old, that was actually around 2011, 2012. That was when I feel like Australian hip hop was at a really good level where there were so many albums getting released. Drinking from the Sun was that year, and then a couple of years
Life of
later,
Riley.
Circus in the Sky. Life of Riley, yep.
We also have 360, Falling and Flying.
Falling and Flying.
Death Wish Cast Evolution Machine.
Yeah.
That was in that.
Horror
Horror
Show did King Amongst Many. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was. Yeah, so during that time, there was a lot of great artists. Oh, Mind Over...
Spit Syndicate.
Oh, yeah. Mind Over Matter did This Way to Elsewhere.
Fireworks.
And Just Like Fireworks, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually a really strong moment, but, and especially now in 2021, I think it definitely has gone a lot quieter where there's only a handful of Australian hip-hop artists that are still kicking it right now, the rest of them have just gone quiet right now, unfortunately. But what were we gonna say, Corey?
Sure. I was gonna say one more album around that time was The Quickening by the Funk Horse.
Yeah.
Of course, Funk Horse. Yeah, Funk Horse.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists are probably, I guess, in a way, passed the baton on to other artists. Some, I think you gotta remember some bands don't last for that long sometimes, or pop groups or just single artists. I kind of think as a genre, it's taking a different turn as well. I think it's definitely a lot more, I guess, modern hip-hop, like American hip-hop based. Like, you got all these people coming in at the moment, like Kendrick Lamar and Lil Nas X, Lil Uzi and, XS Tentacion and all that,
Yeah.
Some people call somewhat they do, or Drake even, that very it's kind of very much similar in terms of the rhythm, but I can see why people like it. It's something, I guess, new. It's trendy, and
then you. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, and you can see like new artists coming in doing that, and you can see some of the older artists kind of taking in that.
Yeah.
Well, and in a way, as a way of experimentation. And they're seeing where it takes them.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a song, Battle Scars, I think it is, that
Guy Sebastian and Luke Fiasco.
Yeah, that did with Guy Sebastian, which I quite enjoy.
That was a long while ago too. That was about that same time.
Yeah, probably sort of early in Guy's career. I mean, I don't know how far in it was, but
I'd say maybe about 10 years, because I remember it was in primary school when he won Australian Idol.
Yeah, and then he had the "Hey, I like it like that."
Yeah, but I think definitely Battle Scars was definitely one of those songs that really separated from all his other tracks, because that was such a powerful song, and it was just so different from what he does. And there was, and I know Corey knows that I do not like this artist, friggin' Iggy Azalea, friggin' the...
Fancy. That was all over the radio for ages.
I liked it at the time. I thought it was new. I thought it was quite different to a lot of the things back then.
Yeah.
And I think with her, she was definitely inspired by, I know Jade would know who this is, but Missy Elliott.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Missy Elliott,
a lot of her, even her accent that she put on, because she's Australian, she's from Brisbane.
Yeah. But she's put on American accent.
Because she wants to fit in.
And it's it is. It's a really interesting, just when you have
I think Corey's frozen. Is he still there?
Oh, yeah, Corey disappeared on us.
He's back, I think.
Is Corey there?
Oh, he's kind of moving slowly.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I've got to actually, Corey will know this, but I've got a really funny story to tell about an Australian hip-hop artist, and now, when Corey and I went to see what year was it when we saw the grand final? Greater Western Sydney versus Richmond. That was
2019.
19? Yeah. Anyway, we were sitting there, and then they were like, because all the artists that they had at that time were Australian artists. They wanted to include more Australian-based artists. And and anyway, they introduced this artist, and they were like, please welcome the Australian hip hop artist, and it was Tones and I. And I remember, Corey, you remember, we were just sitting there just going, like, just looking at our watches going, this is just the longest, like, 10, 20 minutes of our life right now, because I'm sorry, like, I don't want to be rude to Tones and I. She's not a hip-hop artist. Yeah, she's a singer. She's a singer, not a hip-hop artist. Like, if people think that that's hip-hop, then I quit listening to hip-hop right now. Like, I'll quit right now listening to him, because Tones and I, like, as I said, in all respects to her and her career that she's made, she's, excuse me, not a hip-hop artist. Like, that's not what Australian hip-hop is, or just hip-hop.
I mean, it lists her as a singer-songwriter, so I guess,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why that at the grand final that they introduced her as a hip hop artist, because Corey, remember we were looking at each other going, this is not hip hop. But yeah, no, that was a really interesting. But yeah, no, it's a but yeah, no, like as I was saying before, like I feel like it has definitely. I don't think even because of obviously our COVID during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
I think it's also because, like, the Australian hip hop scene has definitely been a lot quieter in the last, what would you say, Corey, last 5 or so years? Like, it just hasn't been as active as what it used to be. Like, it used to be really active all the time, You had so many good artists out there doing music every day.
That kind of that period, I guess, where hip hop artists were pretty big at the time.
Yeah.
Alongside popular music artists, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, it's but like I really do, like, to be honest, I do have times where I do miss specific artists. Like I'm a huge Phrase. Like he was a Melbourne-based rapper. I was a really big fan of Phrase, but he stopped back in 2014 or something, 2014, and he did amazing albums like Babylon. He did Clockwork. And yeah, like he did so many fantastic songs. He actually did a song with Jimmy Barnes in Babylon called Velvet Glove, and it's really funny because when people think of Jimmy Barnes, you think about that. In that song, he's actually doing, going, it's just like he's doing his signature scream, going But I actually, when I saw that. When I got that album for the first time and I said featuring Jimmy Barnes, I'm like, oh gosh, okay. But it's actually a pretty good song, to be honest.
For 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, 5 minutes of him just going,
Yeah, pretty much.
But he also did a really
good international meme now.
Yeah. He's getting more exposure now. Everyone knows who he is now.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, that guy from Australia from that rock band.
The screaming guy.
Huh?
Are you But he also did a really good Phrase did a really good cover song of The Day You Went Away, and he featured Wendy Matthews.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that was in the album Clockwork, and I actually didn't realize it until I was actually in the car with my mum, and she actually said to me, "Oh, that's a cover by," and she said Wendy Matthews, and I'm like, "Oh, no way!" And because in the song it actually features Wendy Matthews in it, and it's a very sad song. Like it's a very, very sad song, but I really think that's really cool how like a lot of Australian hip hop artists can do a lot of very like upbeat songs, but then they can go tone it down and then just do something very slow. Like, perfect example is Hilltop Hoods, like one of my all-time favorite songs is I'm a Ghost, and that is like one of their slow songs, but it's the first time I heard the song I'm a Ghost, I was just like, I was dumbfounded. I was just like, I felt like if I had a mirror in front of me, I was just like, just standing there going, what did I just listen to? Because it was just such a, as you know, Corey, it's such a powerful song, like, and definitely one of those songs that are up there. And that was in Walking Under Stars, so that was in the And that was such a really cool, because it was another interesting thing is they like to do, sometimes some hip hop artists like to do 2 parts. So Hilltop Hoods did this for Drinking from the Sun and Walking Under Stars. So they kind of, they hinted at it at the end of Drinking from the Sun when they had this voiceover saying they recorded enough songs for 2 albums. That was premeditated. That they weren't just like, let's make a record and choose the best songs. It was from day one they were making 2 albums. And then after that, to finalize it, they did Drinking from the Sun, Walking Under Stars, the restrung, which to this day, there's one of the first Australian hip hop crew to actually have an orchestra. Because as Corey, they did restrung, which was with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, which no other hip hop crew had ever done in like history.
Yeah, right.
Tour with an orchestra, which is quite something special right there.
Sure, yeah.
And then they did that. Yep, go for it.
I was gonna say it's funny because we saw like years later with Horror Show when he did that with the Metropolitan Orchestra.
Yeah, that's right. For it was for the 20th anniversary of Elephant Tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. And then Bliss and Essa tried to do that with they didn't do it with an orchestra, but they did a song called House of Dreams, which was with the full orchestra as well. And that was an incredible song. That song ended up being the theme song for the AFL's theme song for one of the years.
Oh, really? Yeah, wow, okay.
It's such a good song as well, that one. And but yeah, no, so I think that's another thing that makes Australian hip hop special is that they're not afraid to add different instruments to their music. Like, they like to be different, they like to be versatile, but they make it work. Which I think
for sure. I mean, it's what you want, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. And
I was gonna.
Go for it.
What do you say, George?
I was just gonna say. I was thinking we could talk a bit about I was gonna make a reference to a song from Hilltop Hoods, which was kind of my first exposure to them. But if you wanted to finish saying what you were saying.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Okay.
Go for it, man.
Oh, okay. You just rambling.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because when you were talking about pop music and kind of like that collab with hip hop, because for me, my first track I think I heard from Hilltop Hoods was "I Love It," which features Sia in.
Yeah.
So that was the first one I think I saw one of the music, the Leap, I think it was, on Saturdays that I used to watch. So that was kind of my first, I guess, introduction to that band from there.
It's kind of a bit funny. I was going to say, it's kind of a side topic. It's funny because at that point, Sia was literally around the corner from superstardom because I think it was like half a year later where Titanium came out.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then Wild Ones with
kind of went from there,
And gear and all that. And, she did that 40 years old at that point, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, credit to her, that's pretty good,
yeah. I remember she released the songs like Buttons, and there's a song and she was putting things on her face and stretching her face like a balloon and a stocking.
Yeah,
lady.
Yeah, I think she had a lot of kind of anxiety around kind of revealing herself in public, so that was kind of her way of
She's not even a bad-looking lady.
Yeah, but I think I presume she had some potential I don't know, mental things that she was worried about, but I don't know.
I think confidence is not there.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that she said that she wants to have the nice feeling that she can just walk down the street and not be noticed. I think I remember.
Yeah. She might have.
Because she said that she can literally walk into let's say a Kmart or a Target or something, and no one will
no one knows who she is.
No one knows what she looks like, and
Yeah.
I think that's why some celebrities end up hiding their face. Like some musicians, like I'm pretty sure, like Gary Martin and all that sort of thing, Daft Punk, and all that hide their identity so that they can have that freedom to, like, you know, be able to walk out into the street and no one will recognize who they are. And as Corey said, you know, it's such a song, I Love It, which, first of all, fantastic song, an absolutely amazing song, was, as Corey said, she was literally around the corner to becoming a massive worldwide success. And, you know, like, because they were both from, and because I remember they were having an interview with Hilltop Hoods, and they said that, you know, because they were both from Adelaide, they're both Adelaide-based musicians, so they collaborated on this song together. And after that, as Corey said, there was Titanium, then you've got She-Wolf, then you've got Flow Rider, Wild Ones. And,
Wild Ones.
And so and now everyone knows who Sia is.
Yeah.
But you know, before that, she was doing Australian hip hop with Hilltop Hoods.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because when I heard the Flow Rider track, I always envisioned her of being this like African American woman because her voice sounds very kind of like, you know, reminiscent of African American. So when I kind of found out that it's like this, you know, Australian Caucasian lady. Yeah.
But yeah, she does have a very unique voice, definally, Sia. She's absolutely incredible. And she... Sorry?
Oh, carry on. Just...
Oh, I was just saying that, like, you know, Sia definitely has a really incredible voice. And I think that's probably what makes I Love It really good, is just her vocals in that song is pretty awesome and pretty special.
And I do like that band that she's in now with Labyrinth and Diplo. That
LSD
group.
Yeah, that's called LSD.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
Yeah, Labyrinth.
LSD.
Yeah.
I do like their songs, and their film clips are just trippy.
But I guess the name LSD, you know.
Obviously. But yeah.
But I actually don't mind. Yeah, to be honest, Corey, I agree with you. There's a few tracks that I actually don't mind of them, but I just can't think of what their song titles are. But there were a few. I've actually tried watching their video clips, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what the hell am I doing right now? Like, it's like these weird animations, and then these weird...
I've got into the wormhole of YouTube. I can't get out,
Yeah, pretty much. It's like you're just gone into a wormhole going, But I think that's... I feel like I read somewhere that that's what they wanted to do, because, you know, obviously with the name LSD, which is a name of a drug.
Yeah, you kind of implied that,
Just trying
I appreciate that they're not, like, you know, trying to hide it, because I know, you know, got like tracks like Lucy and the Sky and Diamonds by the Beatles, and there's this song called Lakeshore Drive, and people, you know, because it's like LSD, people always assume they're like related to drugs. And I mean, the Beatles one probably was, because they probably were on drugs at the time, but during that phase of their career.
Well,
it is.
Was that all you had to say? Was it? Oh, okay. I'll extend the question that I guess George, was asking in that sentence of his first exposure. Like, what would you reckon? Well, what was your first exposure to Australian hip hop?
If it is that to George or me? Sorry.
Because I think George.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was pretty much the kind of as a whole. That song kind of introduced me. Yeah.
Actually, no, I actually do remember. I know exactly where I was. It was I was on a Melbourne trip back in 2009. I don't know why I said it like that. 9. So I was what would I be? 14 years old. We were doing a Melbourne trip down. We were looking at the street art, so the graffiti alleys and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And we were watching this this video of I think how to support the graffiti artists and the street artists. And no kidding you, the song that was playing in the background was "Chase That Feeling" by Hilltop Hoods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which was the first song that I listened to, and I remember looking at it, and I just remember when I first first downloaded the song, the album artwork was of their character, obviously Armageddon, who is sitting on the stairs and he's wearing clown makeup and he's just sitting on the stairs just going, and I just remember that sticking to me, and he's just like chilling on the stairs, just cuffed up, like just, and I think it's raining or something, but that's the one thing I really loved about Hilltop Hoods was their amazing artwork that they always come up with, and they always use the same character, which is Armageddon.
That's pretty cool,
And so I think for me that would be my first exposure. But Corey, what about you, man?
With me, I think it would have been late primary school, so I would have guessed maybe like year 5 or year 6. And just as a preface, me growing up as a lot younger kid, I usually stuck to like classic rock and pop music, 70s, 80s, 90s stuff. And
like me.
And I guess as a kid, you're very, have big blinkers to what you'd choose to listen to. Like anything outside of it, you probably wouldn't give a hoot about. But
pretty much.
I remember, I think after dropping my sister off at high school.
Wait, what?
Like my dad dropping my sister
off. I was going to say.
Yeah, Corey was driving.
Yeah. I was like, you're younger than your sister.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
I'm just that good. Nah.
Yeah.
I apologize about that. But yeah, my dad and I were in the car and we dropped her off. And on the way back, I think he must have been driving me to school at that point afterwards, because I think she'd been the first one. He had on his CD player in the car, he had The Hard Road, which is by the Hilltop Hoods. And the very first song that came on the radio, or the speakers or wherever in the car, was Recapturing the Vibe. And I kind of just sat there just listening. It's like, what is this? Like this. I never really had the feeling of listening to hip hop and having this feeling of interest and taken aback to it, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And we listened to a few songs going back home and afterwards as well, because he picked me up. And I think I slowly from there began to get more and more into it. And I think not only did that help me branch out to a new genre, but I think that helps me become more open. I think being exposed to Australian hip hop also exposed myself to being more open with other genres that I wouldn't usually listen to. Even heavy metal. I remember back as a child, as soon as my dad would put Metallica on, I'd be like, no, turn it off. I wouldn't even give a chance to listen to it. But I remember it was about that time, and even modern pop music. I remember I started listening to Nickelback and a few other groups after that moment happened. So I guess in a sense I am indebted to the Hilltop Hoods for that very complex reason. Because if I hadn't allowed myself to listen to them, I would have probably been still having those blinkers for quite a few years after that, and would have missed out on some good stuff. And Recapturing the Vibe is still to this day my favorite Hilltop Hoods song, not just because of how good of a song it is, but I guess for sentimental reasons.
Powerful meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Very personal.
Yeah. I think in regards to very personal music, I've always found some of 360 stuff to be quite reminiscent of that. I don't know a lot of his tracks, but the two ones that were popular at the time were what was it?
Boys Like
Boys
You.
Like, yeah.
Boys Like You, and I think Child.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. And I remember one day, like, properly listening to the lyrics of those kind of songs. I was like, wow, like, there's some real kind of in-depth meaning behind this, which I think is cool. Which I guess I never expected from a rap song, because usually it's all about, getting with my bitches and my hoes and, doing all this kind of thing. So it's nice to have something a bit. Yeah. So I appreciate the fact that they got some very, like, 360 specifically has some very, like, personal stuff that you can honestly tell from songs like Child and Boys Like You. So
I think a personal story for me about 360 was I think it was 2014. I when I was going through a really hard, one of the hardest times in my life, I was it was around the song he released around the time, he released the song "Live It Up" from his album Utopia. And I remember I was like at a really bad breaking point in my life where I was trying to find, just trying to keep going, trying to find meaning, and this song started playing to me, and honestly, I would have this beautiful sense of meaning in my life, and I remember just thinking to myself, wow, this song has really impacted me, and I feel like has really saved my life just listening to it. And an interesting story, I'm pretty sure a month after that, I was in around the CBD, and I bumped into 360 on the street. And I remember this experience of I approached him because when you first see someone and you're like, is that them? And then you just look and you're like, oh my gosh, it is them. And I looked and I saw that he was on the phone and all that sort of thing, and I decided to approach him just because obviously I didn't want to be rude, and I wouldn't want to go, oh my gosh, because he was obviously on the phone. Anyway, he actually ended his phone call just to come and talk to me, which was really awesome. And I pretty much got to say to him saying, your song "Live It Up" literally saved me. I honestly don't think, and I actually had to hold back tears, and he was like, it's all right, man. He put a hand on my shoulder and all that sort of thing. And then he just was like, and this is the first time, and any person who I've met was famous asked this, and he just said, do you want to take a photo together? And I'm like, yes. He was actually the first one to initiate a photo. And to this day, it's definitely one of my most special memories when it comes to Australian hip-hop, meeting an artist who literally saved my life. And literally a month after I found that song, I just happened to bump into him just walking in this. I think that was definitely a special moment for me. And so 360 for me has always had a special place in my life, because he's just an incredible, he's an incredible guy. He really is, supports,
he seems to really care about his fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what. Oh, carry on.
Oh, no, good. Go for it, dude.
I was just gonna say, I don't know what his life was like growing up, but I feel like from his music, you could tell he's definitely had a lot of kind of, I guess, experiences growing up, and he knows, another song that just came to mind for me was "Price of Fame," which was on the album, I think, as well. And that one kind of talks about, what is the price of fame? What are you willing to kind of give up? And I remember that, I think he says, he'd rather, give money to his mates to help them out rather than, buy a Mercedes or something. And I think that just seems very personal. I guess, like you said, obviously he has that care for his friends and family and his fans. And I guess from what I gather anyway, you don't tend to see or hear a lot of that, because it's very I'm famous, I want to spend all my money. And I mean, obviously there are people out there who like to give money from their music to charity and stuff, but I think some. I don't know, it seems like he's very. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I think you get what I'm trying to get across. He seems like a very personable person, kind of thing, which I think is cool.
Yeah,
and that shows in the music as well.
Yeah, he's definitely someone who brings awareness to mental health, and he supports, like, the community of, like, trying to say that, you're not alone, that, you are worth something. I know mental health really sucks, and, it's really, it seems bad now. Like, you have the song, I think it's Broken Wings, I think from Falling and Flying. And that song pretty much talks about like how he understands what it's like. He pretty much is talking about, it feels like you're walking down this road, but it's what I've gone through, and you're not alone through what you're going through. And it's
definitely.
A lot of his songs are definitely really personal. Like there's a strong personal touch that he adds to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And he has featured some really incredible artists as well. For one, Corey knows this artist quite well. In Utopia, he featured Daniel Johns a lot from Silverchair. And Corey's a bit of a fan of Silverchair. And that was interesting, because that was the first time anyone had heard from him in a while. Isn't that right? Like no one really had heard of Daniel Johns. Yeah,
I think he was releasing a few solo stuff at the time, but I think he was taking a very, very different direction.
But
because he had that whole thing, did he, where he had like I forget what the illness is called, but he was like very like skinny and.
He had anorexia when he was with Silverchair, so that wasn't really that was about the late 90s. I think that was because of the stress. I think around that time, I think for a long time now, he's just suffered with a lot of mental health problems, and I think around that time I think he had like an episode where he was really got really drunk one day and was like not in a good space.
Yeah, right. Sure,
yeah.
But yeah. Oh, sorry, Corey.
Oh, that was all I had to say.
But yeah, no, I think
that's all I had to say about that. Sorry.
But yeah, I think it was really cool that he featured Daniel Johns in Utopia, because he was in like the songs Purple Waterfall, It's All About to End, and Impossible were the songs that he was in. So he was featured in a few songs in that album. And then you've got Pez, which is obviously one of 360's closest mates. And then Price of Fame, which you were talking about, George, that was with Gosling. And then
also the girl and Boys Like You.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And then there was who was in Early Warning? Corey, the guy, wasn't it the main singer from Living End?
Oh yeah, Chris Chaney.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, he was in that one, in Early Warning, and that's pretty much. And that song was a really intense song. It was pretty much about, I think from what I'm gathering, a friend of his who was going through an addiction, and him trying to get himself cleaned up, and just the just the struggles of trying to clean yourself up. But yeah, no, it's
Sure.
But yeah, he like 360, even as a live performer, like I saw him back when he did the Retopia tour, because originally I was meant to see him on the Utopia tour, but he had to cancel the whole tour because he wasn't feeling well. But then I think he later came out and said that he nearly OD'd, like to a point where he actually nearly died. And so that's when he decided when he cleaned himself up and he sobered up, and that's why he called it the Retopia tour. So he was doing the tour that he was meant to do, and I saw him live, and amazing performer. Like he actually did remember me, because that was the time where after I met him in the street, I saw him at that show, and I got and Corey's seen this as well. You know that signed poster that I've got a 360. That was when I saw him live at the Retopia tour. I pretty much asked. I remember I was at the bar, and they had a lot of these Retopia posters, and I actually think I went up to him and asked, can get one of those Retopia posters? And they're like, yeah, sure, go for it. And then I just gave it to 360 and he signed it. And so now I've actually got it in my cupboard over there. So I've got this really cool signed poster that 360 has. And then Corey, we've had our experience when we met Hilltop Hoods at the Zoo York launch that they did together.
Oh, really?
And,
Nice.
Gosh, how long were we waiting in line for that? That was like an hour,
For about
an hour and a half.
I remember I was sick.
That's right, yeah.
You were
Before
what?
the day
You
of the coronavirus.
Yeah, back then, like, if you were sick, you know, if it was just a cough or whatever, you just didn't really care about it.
Yeah.
If it's something that you really wanted to do, you know, you just go and do it.
I gotta
But yeah, well, that was pretty cool. Yeah, because we all got our signed posters from Hilltop Woods, and then didn't you get your
Parade of the Dead, I can get that.
Yeah, Parade of the Dead, yeah, signed as well. That was pretty cool. And yeah, and it was really cool because they actually personalized it, so they wrote our names on it and all that sort of thing. So that was a really cool moment for us as well. And but yeah, so no, it's Australian hip hop. Oh, yep, here we go. There we go.
Just looks like a lot of squiggly lines to me.
Yeah. I think it's like tags. It's there.
Yeah, they do. I think that's pretty cool because a lot of Australian hip hop artists make their signature as rapper tags in a way.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So you got like Pressure, you got Suffer, and DJ Debris down the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which is pretty awesome.
And they really liked that I brought this too. I remember.
Yeah.
Talking about the fish joke.
Oh gosh, remember? I'll
fish
tell
joke.
this story. Huh?
Yeah.
A fish joke.
But yeah, like I remember there was this also when we were Corey and I were talking about when we went to the album launch of Horror Show. The story behind that was we went to because we entered a competition to say, and Horror Show was like, oh, we want to do our album launch for New Normal. We either want to do it in Sydney and Melbourne. So what we're going to do is hold a competition to see how many votes each city gets. And Melbourne ended up winning. And then they actually said for a certain number of people, they were only going to invite like a certain number of people to the launch. And then I actually got an email saying, oh, you know, you and one other person are invited to their album launch. And I'm like, for a second, I thought I was getting, I have to admit, for a second, I thought I was getting pranked or something because I'm just like, you know,
it's so unrealistic.
Yeah. Anyway, and I read it and I'm like, okay, no, this is legit. And anyway, I went to Corey and I said, hey, you want to tag along? And he's like, yep. And so we ended up going there, and that was a really good show. And I don't know if you remember, Corey, when we actually approached them as well. We had, I'm pretty sure you had a copy of their old albums, and I had their old album of Inside Story. Remember that?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because
King Amongst Many.
And they were both. And remember how impressed the both of them were, where they were like, "Oh, geez, you guys are really hardcore fans."
Yeah.
Not just run of the mill.
Yeah. And oh, actually, you know what I've got, and you remember this, Corey? I've got the
vinyl.
Yeah, I've got the vinyl of King Amongst Many, and that was pretty cool, actually.
Jeez, wow.
So yeah, got the vinyl of that, and then I got Long Story. Was it Long? Oh my gosh, I'm having a mind blank right now. Long Story, the album.
Story.
Oh, Inside Story. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
the Gracies.
Yeah, and then we both got a poster each. That's right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was a really cool moment as well. So we've definitely had some really great memories in.
One more.
Like
well, there's a couple more I remember. I remember once that when we went to see the Fundamentals album launch, it was a listening party in a way. It was a listening party / album launch for I Love Songs.
Yeah.
And, well, I remember it was only Tucker and Morgs there because I believe Jess One was having, or his wife was having a child at the time.
Yes.
So it was only them two. And I remember I was sitting at the bar table with Morgs for like 30 minutes. just chatting to him about things, and I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah, no, that's right. Like,
and Tucker was pretty cool too.
That was actually the for me, that was the second time I met him, because I actually went to when Obese Records used to have a store in near Richmond.
Yes.
I went to the album signing for So We Can Remember, and I got that, and that's where I met Just One and all that. And it's actually really funny. On the old Obese Records Instagram page, they actually took a photo of people at the event, and I'm actually in that picture. And I'm just like got my hoodie on, going like in the background, just doing that. And I'm like, and I actually saw that post, and I'm like, oh gosh, now everyone's gonna see that. And but yeah, no, that was really cool as well. And yeah, I thought that was really cool when we went to the listening party. We actually and we got a Polaroid, remember?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Of myself,
cool.
Corey, and Tucker, and
I put that in my photo album.
Yeah, so that was really cool. But yeah, and then Corey and I experiencing the 20th anniversary tour of Elephant Tracks was pretty special as well. Like that was, huge lineup. Like we had, we had astronomy class, we had the Herd, we had Horror Show, who actually, Horror Show again. I'm pretty sure to this day, Horror Show is the most, for me, has been the most seen live I've actually seen. Like I've seen Horror Show like maybe 4 or 5 times, I think.
Right. Wow.
Oh, one time that I only just remembered, and we met some people as well, was the One Day Crew, which was it was a super group. So you had Horror Show, the Spit Syndicate, which is another Sydney band. You had Jackie Onassis.
Yep.
Named obviously after JFK's ex or widow.
Okay, yeah, Jacqueline Kennedy.
And Joyride.
Yeah.
As well.
I think Joyride.
Group. And I remember as well on the night, and on the night there was also, as supporting act, you had JT Hazard, he's been in the industry for quite a while.
Yeah.
And you also had Briggs, who is obviously part of AB Original now. I think he's more known for, and he's also in the project as well.
Yeah.
But, you've seen the project, I'd take it, George. He's an Indigenous fellow. He's like a big, large Indigenous dude. He's got like a little. You've probably seen him from time to time on that show.
Yeah, doesn't sound familiar, but
yeah.
Yeah, and JT Hazard is a really good DJ. He actually was one of the ways he started was Last Connection in the hip hop crew. Last Connection. So and they're another great Indigenous crew. Their albums, I've actually got both of them, which is like Nutches, and I'm just trying to remember what the other one was. There was another one. I just am having a mind blank right now. But they're another great crew as well. So like it's really cool how that's the other thing that makes Australian hip hop really good, is that they all intertwine together. So all of them are some way intertwined, and they always meet up to, in the middle sometime together. Like, they always end up doing songs together, or they end up touring together. It's pretty, it's definitely a very close community.
Sounds like it.
By the way, I know Jayden's got some apparel on. I need to wear my apparel.
Oh, yes. Corey's left the building. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, nice.
Right.
20 years of Elephant Tracks.
That's pretty cool.
And going back to that too, this concert, it's good because we got to experience some new groups as well. Like, I remember one that I was very impressed with, and I'm kind of a bit sad that I haven't seen any of his stuff in like shops or anything. Is a rap artist called El Fresh the Lion.
Oh, he was good.
So I think he was the Indian, like like Hindi background, or he was like a Middle Eastern guy with like Persian or Islamic background. He was one of the two, and I remember he had some really interesting songs that I thought were just really good. And there was this lady that was with him, because like they were singing. She seemed like a very like spiritual and like really emotional and passionate lady. You know, she just got down one of the songs and she was like, and you just like these tears streaming down her face. She was like,
oh,
okay.
She was very passionate, and they were both full of energy as well, which very energetic, which I think made the performance equally as well entertaining to watch. And he was a really great. I was really impressed with him as well, and I actually pretty sure
bad too.
Who?
B-Wise?
Oh yeah, I didn't mind him.
It wasn't too bad.
And then obviously we got to see astronomy class, which was pretty cool.
Yes. Oh, we got to talk to Aussie Battler too.
Oh yeah, he was tall. He was really tall, dude. Remember?
It kind of reminds me of that really tall uncle that most people probably have.
Yeah, and then also another special moment two special moments I remember from that night that I don't think we'll probably ever experience for a while is, first of all, seeing the Herd all together, because the interesting thing about the Herd, George, they are made up of like multiple artists. Like you've got Earth Boy, you've got Ozzy Batley, you've got Jane Terrell, and you've got and all these other artists, and to have them all in the same room together was pretty special. And then the other thing, which I remember when this happened, the crowd went insane when Horror Show performed in a Daze with Jane Terrell, which is like when they performed that song with her, because it's like such a big song, and I don't think they had performed it, and I'm pretty sure he even said that, like he goes, to have her in the same building as well is a special moment. And then he pretty much solo just turned around and said, so Jane, and he pretty much said, can you come out here? And then performed that song with her, and it was amazing. I've actually got a recording of that because it is an amazing song, and that was actually one of the first times Solo was singing as well.
Yeah, right.
And he's a good singer as well, Solo. Like I really like when he does his singing stuff.
I remember I saw, and I didn't even realize that he did this. I think it was like early this year or last year. He was kind of a cover / redo of the song called No Aphrodisiac by the Whitlams. It's a late 90s song, which I believe I think it won Triple J's Hottest 100 one year, and I think it bet like pretty fly for a white guy and all that to it. So it was Tim Friedman, who was the lead singer of the Whitlams. It was him on the piano and also Solo from Horror Show. So it was them two doing this like duet thing for No Aphrodisiac, and I thought it was quite interesting.
Amazing. No, that's incredible.
I remember one other cover that Horror Show did was Take a Walk on the Wild Side. And
I remember that, I remember that, because they performed that live as well.
Yeah, we saw them at the orchestra one, or the restrung, I guess you can call it, their own restrung concert.
Yeah.
And 20th anniversary one. And he made his own lyrics to it too. So
that's right, yeah.
A mixtape version.
And I don't know if you remember this, Corey, but remember at the orchestral one, Addit accidentally stuffed up one of the parts of the song where he was a bit late coming into it, and Solo turns around going, and it's like, sorry. And then when they performed again at the 20th anniversary, and he pretty much, Solo was like, so for people who were at the last show, Addit accidentally missed his cue, and he's just like, so let's see if Addit can get this right again. And let's see if Addit can get this right. And so that was quite funny where they brought that up, and Addit was just like, oh no. It's just like, because I don't remember which cue he missed for what song, but he just remember, because I remember Solo just standing there going, turning around, just going, what happened? And Addit's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Was it The Rain or Cherry Blossoms? I think it was one of those two.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was one of those songs, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, no, that was very funny as well to have that happen. And but it was actually interesting because when we say that Horror Show was not planned on playing at the 20th anniversary tour for that massive show, it was literally last minute when Corey and I arrived there, and literally one of the names that said Horror Show, and we were both like, like we did not know Horror Show was playing here because he wasn't listed as playing. They weren't listed as playing here, so they must have decided at the last minute, going, okay, let's chuck in a show for everyone again.
Yeah.
I remember
as
well. There was that lady artist. I forgot her name. You know who I was talking? She was the really young lady.
Yeah, that. Oh, wasn't it? Didn't we have with Jimbler and Georgia? Blow, I think?
That group. What's you know who they are?
Is it Homebound or something like that?
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, Homebound, and they were pretty good. I actually did like them as well because I do like Jimbler as well. He's an incredible artist as well. And but you know, that's the one thing that I love about Elephant Tracks as well. They have a lot of diverse amount of artists, so they're very diverse in who's in the label and all that sort of thing, which is pretty cool. But yeah, there was that yeah, I know who you're talking about, Corey. There was those, wasn't it 3 female singers together? I'm just trying to remember who it was.
No, it was a female artist, and she had she's a female rapper, and she had. I'm looking it up, and had like a backup lady with her.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of her name. Hang on. Kenyo, that's her name.
Yeah, no, that's
Kenyo?
right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was yeah, so that was pretty good, and yeah, so we got a lot of good memories there with a lot of great concerts and all that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely those memories. Oh, sorry, I need to mute that. Sorry. Sorry, just don't mind me, guys.
I mean, did we want to? Is there anything else we wanted to say, or shall we happy to wrap up there?
I guess I got one question, but I mean, I guess
Okay.
I don't know if you're able to answer this, George. Like, well, even if you know some songs of one,
Sure.
like,
I'll give it a go. Yeah.
A hip hop album that has made the biggest impact on you, whether it's personally or like as just musical impact.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. That's a good question. Wow. Do you have one, Corey? While we figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple that kind of draw for that for me. Well, one of them, well, probably 3, but I guess they all have their different purposes. But first of all was King Amongst Many. I saw because there's a lot of stuff in there that kind of hit home for personal reasons for different things. Music. Well, this next one, I just at least from a musical perspective, was just absolutely wowed me. Was Circus in the Sky.
Oh yeah, was that Listen Echo? No,
Listen Echo. Yeah,
a different art.
Listen Echo.
I think because I remember like a lot of teenagers used to do, we just download it for free off the torrenting sites.
Yeah, as you do.
And I remember downloading it really early in the morning, and then I just put on the headphones after I just woken up. I was like, I'm going to listen to it now. So it's plugged in, and I think it was on a Saturday morning, and I think from the first song, I was like,
whoa.
And I think it was just the intro. And then there was like Pale Blue Dot, and then all the songs to follow that one. And it was an album that just didn't stop impressing. And
I 100% agree.
And it had some personal songs in there as well. You know, like Can't Get Rid of This Feeling. Sorry, but that's a great song. Home Is Where the Heart Is. What else? Reservoir Dogs is great. House of Dreams, which we already mentioned, is good. There's plenty of others. I'm just having a mind blank of some of them I know I really like.
Yeah, so good.
And the last one would probably have to be, for similar reasons, would be Life of Riley by Draft.
Yeah, of course.
And again, it's another album from start to finish that doesn't really have a bad song in there. You know, you've got, Sing It, Sing It, The Life of Riley.
Yeah.
You got Down, you got The Paul the Dan, We Own the Night, Barley Party, R.I.P. JR. You know, there's many good songs on that album, and it's got a very 70s rock vibe to it, I feel, too, to quite a few of their songs. I don't know if you reckon that, Jayden, but
yeah, no, I definitely get that vibe as well. Very old school vibe. I'm
trying to think where I was when I first listened to it. I don't remember where I first listened to what I was doing at the time, but yeah. So have you thought of anything?
Yeah, well, two of the albums I agree with you as well, man. Like, I would say King Amongst Many and Circus in the Sky, definitely. I remember the first time I listened to Circus in the Sky, I am not kidding you, I probably listened to it 6-7 times in a row. Literally the first time I listened to it, because it's just a phenomenal album, and oh my gosh, it's amazing. And same with King Amongst Many. I did listen to that a lot, and it has a lot of incredible, powerful songs in it. You've got Dead Star Shine, you've got Unfair Lottery, King Amongst Many, Set Free. You've got oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember. On the one hand,
Yes.
and then you've got a song that they do with Sarah Corey. I just can't think of the song title of that one.
Corey to the Rescue.
Yeah, Corey to the Rescue, as always.
Down the Line.
What'd you say?
Down the Line.
Oh, yeah. Down the Line. Thank you. Down the Line. And to add on to that, I would probably say, adding to it, I would say Mind Over Matter, This Way to Elsewhere. I absolutely love that album. It's a phenomenal one. You've got Society's Pyramid, you've got Real Life, got Dream Train, got Somebody's Love, so there's a lot of great songs in that one as well. Right there. Corey's got it right there.
$40. Right, that's a good deal.
2 for $40. And then I would, and honestly, as I was saying before, I would put this album there because I think if it wasn't for this album, I would have not introduced myself to hip hop. Would be, Hilltop Hoods, Drinking from the Sun, because first album, full length album I've listened to, and then the first album that I hip hop album I ever listened to, and I was just in love with it. Pretty much the same with Corey when you listen to Circus in the Skies. When I was listening to Drinking from the Sun, I remember sitting there. It does the first intro, the first part one, and then it goes to Drinking from the Sun, and literally it has that starting point. And I remember, I'm not kidding you, I'm pretty sure my face was when it goes that low build up, and I'm just doing this to it. I'm just okay, all right. And then suddenly it goes and then there's this break where it goes, and I'm just this. My face was what just happened? And I'm just oh my gosh. I'm that was awesome. And, it just goes right into Drinking from the Sun with that slow build up, and then it's boom, and you're whoa, what the hell just happened? So I would probably say those would be my albums that really impact my life, definitely.
And
sure.
And one I forgot to add in there was obviously The Hard Road. Obviously got Recapturing the Vibe, and then you go down the list. You got Clown Prince, What a Great Night, Monsters Ball, Breathe. What else missing? Conversations and Speakeasy. There's plenty of good songs.
Circuit Breaker.
Circuit Breaker's a good one. And if you got like the Restrung album as well, they've got Rollin' Up in there, and you got their and their deluxe album. What is it? I can't.
I Can't Take It.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't take it no more.
Oh, and
sounds like she's crying in the song.
And the Blue Blooded as well. The Blue Blooded Heroes.
Oh, we are one.
Yeah.
But we are baby.
That was good. That was good, George. I will give you that, mate.
I gotta keep it light and provide the entertaining comedy.
So George, do you? Let's say this, George. So, like, I guess if you can't name albums, say, do you have Australian hip hop songs that impacted you? As a final question.
I mean, I think the songs I mentioned from 360, like listening to those was quite like cool because like it kind of opened me up to the idea that like rap, or I guess hip hop music could actually have like sentimental value to it, kind of thing. So I think when I heard those, can't properly listen to the lyrics from those kind of songs,
and it's sensational.
Yeah. It definitely, just made. I think that kind of helped me appreciate hip hop music more, even though I haven't really kind of delved into other artists since then. It kind of, I guess I have a bit more respect for like the hip hop genre now than I did previously. So in regards to that, I'd probably say that.
Yeah. No, great songs, great genre. I think if anyone listening to this podcast right now, definitely any of the artists we mentioned, definitely check them out. These albums are still on iTunes or just online.
Still fresh.
Yeah. What?
Still fresh and with it,
Keeping it fresh.
Right, hip hop lingo.
Yes, exactly. It's all good. It's all hip hop.
Yeah. Right, good. Is there anything else you guys want to add, or should we call it there?
I think that's all me.
Cool, all good. Well, I think we've covered a decent amount, and thanks for all the stories you guys shared. Always good to get a insight into all that kind of thing. I mean, hopefully one day I'll have experiences like that because I've only ever been to one concert in my life. So I'm hoping to make more. So we'll see how we go.
We'll get you there, George. We'll get you there.
Yeah, we'll get there, I'm sure. Cool. Well, thank you for joining me, guys, as always. Always a pleasure to have both of you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for listening. All the best. Huh?
I said always a pleasure to be here and talking about music.
All right, thank you. Well, cool. See ya.
Have a good one, guys. Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Thanks.
I think it's